Welcome to this crash course on blogging in Brizy Cloud, and this is part one of a three-part course. And what we're trying to do is really give you a crash course on how you can quickly go from knowing nothing about blogging within Brizy Cloud to being able to build out your custom assets with your own advanced custom fields. In part one, almost everything can be done in Brizy Cloud free, but the power really of the blogging features within Brizy Cloud is to go pro. So really check out all the parts from 1, 2, and 3 to understand how you can build out these assets that we are referring to. What we're going to do in this part one is to create a general blog, a travel blog, and I've imported this site from one of our pre-made templates, which is great for traveling. And then I've created a blog section. So you can see we have here in the header, home, accommodation, packages, contact. You can go through that and go check it out also within the pre-made templates. Click on blog, and this is the one that I've created. And this takes us to an archive page that I've quickly created with everything. And you can do this in free as well. From here, I will click on read more on this one, and this takes us to what we can refer to as a single post, the post that you're actually using to write your blog in. And you can see here that we have a header, then we have our content with images, and we have even a slider going on here, which is basically just a carousel. There we go. And then we have a little few things here at the bottom like share and other related posts. And that's what we're going to be making in this part one. While on this page, a lot of people are working with Cloud and try to blog at the first time, get really confused about a few things. So I just quickly want to highlight these two parts of any blog page. We are combining a number of features within Brizy Cloud here to create a great blogging experience. And the first is to use global blocks. And I'll show you how we're going to be using global blocks. This is going to be your handy tool when working with blogging. At the very top of this page, I have this section here, which is a global block, and it works with dynamic content. So I'm not typing in there Romania. I'm not typing in there the published date. This is all metadata that comes from within my CMS. The same here at the bottom, I also have a footer that I've created, actually a very big one, all the way here from share, and it goes down to other related posts, including this part here in the bottom. These are also global blocks. And they appear on each and every page. I give them conditions, and that's how I make them work. On the other hand, the biggest part of the page is our content area. Now this, I do like I would design any other page within Brizy Cloud. I'll bring in headings, I'll bring in text elements, and I do this on a post-by-post basis. So remember this, one part is going to be global blocks, and the other part is going to be your static content. And as we go along, you'll understand better how this works. Without further ado, let's use the cliches and jump right into our project. I've already set up this project with exactly the same templates that I had shown you. And if you are interested in that, just go to add a block, go to the layout section, and you will find this under the travel category. Great template pre-designed just for you. Let's set up our first post. We go to the top where you see the hamburger, CMS, click on that, and where it says blog here, this is where we're going to make all the magic happen. Select that, and you have two options here. Be on the lookout for those changes and updates in the future, and we will also have videos for any new features that we roll out. Add a new post. That is the first thing we want to do. I'll click on add new post, and then I'll start here at the top with the title of my post, which is South Africa. It will automatically create a slug for me, but you can add one if you want to. I'll add a featured image. Go down, and this is the hero, which is going to be my featured image. And I will add a little excerpt here as well, which is going to be just some random text. Let me grab that. Great. And then I say save changes. After I've done that, we have a few options at the top: translate, SEO, social, code. We'll look at all of those in part two. And here in the bottom, you see we have a few more options: edit, duplicate, preview, delete. And we'll go to edit, but duplicate is going to be our go-to function very soon. Also note up here on the right that we have a status on whether this is a draft or published. You can put it to published here if you want, or you can do it on the page. I'm going to put it on published already, and then select update. In part two, I will show you how to add more fields here. But what is very important to grasp at this point is that this is only your metadata section. This should not be your content section, and you should try and keep your content and your dynamic data separate so that they don't become too much of an interference and you can work much easier with it. Let's go and edit this page, and we select edit and we get a blank canvas. Incorrect, we don't get a blank canvas. We actually already have a global block at the top, which is our header, and a global block at the bottom, which is the footer. For now, let's see how we create that little section at the very top where we can bring in our metadata. I'll go here and select the plus, create your own, go to our image section, and then next to image, you will see this little dynamic data feature. Click on that and it says featured image. These two are actually indented options under featured image. You can choose a custom or an original. Currently, this is a small bug. We don't have control over the focal point of this image, but I'm still going to use it to show you how this works. So I'll select your custom, and you're not going to see anything. Currently, it doesn't generate a preview, also a feature that is in the works. And I'm going to just leave it there. So I know you're a little bit concerned at this moment, but let's go and build out the rest. Now I'm going to bring in dynamic data. This is sometimes really confusing. Click on the plus and I want to bring in a heading. I'll click on my text and I'll drop it in the middle. Select it. I'll change the color first, put it on this one over here. Then I'll go to T for typography. And here where weight is, you'll see the little disk again, dynamic data. Click on that and look for post title. And this should now say South Africa. It will bring that data in for us. Excellent. Okay, the color has changed again, so let's go and change it. And now you style it out exactly the way you would style out anything else. I'm going to put it in M, put it in a value of 3, which is 16 times 3. We can put it 4, I think. And let's also make it bold. Reduce the letter spacing. So I didn't type in there South Africa. I used the dynamic content from the post that I've created to bring it in. The same I'm going to do with the publish date below it. Let's go to the plus. Again, that's a text element. I'll drag it, drop it, then go T for typography, select the little disks again, and select publish date. You can see also we have the excerpt here. We have a number of other things here. Let's go for our publish date, and this will give us today's date. Then I'll style it out again, give it a color, and I'll put it in the center. Let's update this and preview it so you can see how the background image is also brought in. Splendid potatoes, looks good. Now, normally I would like to have this image focus on a specific area. That's the little bug I've talked about. For now, what I'm going to do is bring in an overlay and then change out the colors here so I can bring it to the way I want it to look. Let's go back here. I'll apply an overlay, which is how we usually do this, exactly the same way you would normally do it. I'll reduce the opacity and put it around 85%, and then let's go and change out the color for these two, so they are also more visible. And we can add a little bit of padding at the top, give it some room to move. Update says climby. Let's go preview it again at the front. Beautiful. Now, what is important is that I didn't write any of this content. It is dynamic content. I brought it in from the metadata I entered into the post. And I want to have this appear on each and every post I create. So when I bring in new countries that I travel to, I don't have to redesign this each and every time. I don't have to retype it. It just brings in that data. Therefore, we are going to turn this block into a global block. Let's go back into the builder, go to the block settings all the way to the left and select make it global. This screen will pop up and say, where do you want it to display? And by default, it's only going to display it on this page. I want it to display on all block, select here, all block pages. It will be included in all of these pages and save. A lot of functionality with these conditions. We'll talk about them also later in the upcoming parts. Close this out and just hit update, Control S, Command S for good measure. Now that we have this dynamic global block, we want to bring in the content. In most cases, when you are designing any kind of block, you kind of use the same template again and again. You have image here, you have an image there, and you have text here and text there. And you can just use the same one again and again. To show you again the example that I have, you will see I have a title here, some text, an image, then same thing, a little image there. Now, instead of designing this layout each and every time, I can do it one time and then just use it again and again. And I'll show you how we're going to do that again and again. But what is important, this is all static. This isn't dynamic content. You have to change it on a page-by-page basis. If I go to any of the others, so this is Romania, and I have one here for Egypt, you're going to see that the layout is going to be the same. Again, there we have it. Great. And you can also see that every time it changes, the background is the flag of the country. So it doesn't matter which country I go to, the content, the physical content like the text and those things are changing, but the layout remains exactly the same. And that really speeds up your workflow and saves you a mountain of time. Now, how you're going to build this out is up to you. Let's start here with create your own. And what I will do is I'll bring in a heading. And this will be the first part of the page, like welcome to a new tomorrow. And I'll put this on a heading 2. I'm not going to go into detail with this because you are going to build it out the way you want to build it out. So I'll bring in here text. I'll bring in some lorem ipsum text. And important here is also to make use of global styling so that you don't have to do these things over and over again. And then let's say I want to bring in now 2 images below this. Now, this is completely different from the previous one I had made, but this is normal page build out, which you know how to do. So we don't need to spend time on this. Note though that I'm not using any kind of dynamic image here. These images, I bring them in one by one. And where's this one? And then for this background, I'm also going to add an image to the back. And that's going to be the flag. And then what I did is I put that on parallax fixed and I applied an overlay and I reduced the opacity slightly like this. Lovely. And this is how I'll be building out my page. So instead then again of creating a new title, I'm just going to copy this one, drag it down. Let's bring in a spacer. And if you have an idea of what you want to do, this is going to be travel at no cost. Impossible. But this is going to be something that's going to happen very quickly. And then once you have set this up, then you are just going to use the same again for the future. Let's bring in one more image here, something like a carousel. Or let's just bring in an image here with a caption. Image, and I'm going to use the hero image again here. Where am I? Over here. And here's our hero image. And then what I'll do is I'll just drag this one out a little bit, and then we can bring in a caption and put this one at the bottom. Caption, zebras gracefully grazing. I had to do that, right? And let's put that in italics. And thus we build it out, our content for our post. The last part I will also add here is a global blog, which is kind of like a footer that you're going to use on most posts. And that's where you want to bring in your comments and things that regularly appear also on each page that you don't want to go and create again and again and again. And it will apply to each post. What I will do is bring in a new block. And then over here, we will have maybe a discussion area so we can bring in discuss, which I comment, which all the social features are pro features. And you can choose whether you're going to be using Facebook or if you want to use discuss. Where is discuss? Over here, can put it on discuss. And then what I'll also have here is more posts, and that you do with the post element, which is also a few tutorials by itself. But I can bring in quickly a heading here and say more posts, and then go down and look for our posts under blog, drop that in. And currently we have only one, so only one is going to show. Great little feature here, and I'll quickly show you what I've done with this. I'm going to delete the button. Then I'm going to apply a overlay to this one. like so. And then let's take our title and I'll go to my margins and I'll make it negative. So I drag it in there. Oh, beautiful. How did you do that? Negative margins. And then let's go ahead and put this on a white typography for us. I'll put it a little bit bolder and we put it around 26. I'll also increase my margin at the bottom just to push the comments away. And then let's apply a hover effect to the image so that when people hover over it, they know that they can click on it. Nice, let's see, yes. And I'm going to make the entire part of this post clickable. So I'll go to the column within it, click on the link, and then go link to where the dynamic is and select post URL. This means that when people click on this, it's going to take them to that specific post. Of course, in this case, it is this post, so no point in doing it. But as we populate it with more, it's going to give us more options here. It makes more sense. Let's just go and view it quickly on the front end so that we know we did an okay job. And I'm skipping responsiveness. Excellent. So the top, that comes from the metadata. This I've added myself. And then here at the bottom, I'm going to make it a global block. Let's not forget. Jump back to the builder. Options, make it global. And again, we want this to appear on all blog pages. So select all next to blog and save. At this point, you have created your first post. Congratulations. Let's go to the CMS dashboard. Click on blog. And you can see here is the post. Now comes the beauty of this button over here. Stare at it in awe because this duplicate button is going to duplicate everything on your page and will make it unnecessary for you to design any of those things, even save them as layouts. You can just go ahead and duplicate it. There's a few other options if you want to use them as saved layouts, and we'll look at that in part 2, but I'm going to show you the power of this duplicate button. Really, it gives me goosebumps. Click on duplicate, and now let's go and create another country. You will see it says South Africa copy. There's only one. So let's make a new one, Moldova. Slug will update. Let's change out the featured image. Let me see, where is Moldova? Over here. There's my hero. And then you can also change the excerpt here. Let's just change it a little bit. Select it. Great. And then say save changes. It's already published. And now next thing we do is click on edit. But before we click on edit, I want you to think, what do you expect is going to be on this post now? Now, first of all, we're going to have those global blocks. And the top global block is going to draw all its information from that dynamic content here at the top. So it must say Moldova. Let's click on edit. And true as Bob, there it is. Also, the featured image should be different to the South African one. And if we scroll to the bottom, look here, it has already updated this. Beautiful. You will tell me, but it didn't change anything here. Of course not. This is the static page. This is where you now have to go and just select it like this. Welcome to yesterday and the future. And you change it out with your new content. Change out the images. And I'll do it this one round after this. We're not going to do it for each and every one. Moldova over here. Let's do the same for this one. Great. And also the background. This flag that we have here, we also need to switch that one out. And because I have saved this layout, do you see how quickly this makes it easy just to switch everything out? You use it as a template. Same for this. We can change this out for the hero image. Now, one thing you can do here is, because you're on this page, it is the hero image, which is AKA the featured image. You don't need to bring it in. You can click here on the dynamic content. I'll go to custom. You can choose original. And it's going to bring in the hero image. You don't have to bring it in by yourself. This is great how you can use dynamic content even on your static template layout. And we're done. Of course, you switch out all the content, but we're done. Let's click on update. Let's go view it on the front end. There we have the image in the back from the featured image. The content has been changed out. and you have just become a professional blogger overnight, as easy as that can be. These are the basics, and my recommendation is that every time you are creating a new post, you simply go to all your posts here under all blog, select the one you want to copy and click on duplicate. That is super great for using it, basically an old post as a template for a future post. Naturally, you don't have to do that. You can build up different ones, but then if you just want to have that shortcut, come here and duplicate. In part 2, I'll show you how you can save this as well and bring in those saved templates, especially if you want to export and share it with other people. I'll stick to these 2 posts, but on my original one, I have a number. I think I have almost 7 of them. We'll use these 2 posts, and what we want to do now is to create a blog post page, your post archive or your posts page where all of them are populated onto one page. You also have to design that. To find that page, which is usually generated for you automatically in CMSs like WordPress, you go over here to categories. Brizy Cloud by default includes this page, which is called blog, but you still need to set it up. If I click here on this one, which is preview, you're going to see an empty page. There's going to be nothing because you still need to go and design this template. Well, I said nothing, but there's the header and the footer again. To edit it, let's go back into the builder and we click on the infamous edit button. And now we're going to create, well, our archive page, our blog page, our posts page. This is not a single post. Let's add it here in the middle. I'll click on the plus. I'll create your own. And here I'm going to show you the quick one first, and then a little bit, you can call it advanced. Bring in a title, and I'll call this one All News. And we can put it on heading 1. We can put it on the heading 1. Why not? And then under All News, I'll bring in that element from the blog within the elements drawer, posts, click, hold, and drag. And what we should see by default are those 2 posts that we've created. This is the post element, and to access the settings for the post element, go to the top right corner here and select it, and on the left you will see you have the option as to how many posts will appear. You can have 3, I think maximum up to 6. After that it kind of becomes ridiculous, and because we only have 2, only 2 will appear. If you're going to add more, you can, let's say you want it at 3. Let's put it on 2 for now so that you can see how it will work. If you have more than what the row can hold, you can also increase the rows as well as spacing. Observe that you see these boxes. Now, these are columns, but they are post element columns. Special columns just for the post. So if I select the options, you will see that I have the normal toolbar options here for this one. And this is where the link becomes very important if I want to link this entire section to go to that URL of the post. And to do that, remember, you go to link to the dynamic content and put it on post URL. Now the entire section will link to that post URL. What is important to understand about this is that anything I change in terms of design here will change on all of them. Let me show you. If I reduce the height of this image, you will see the one on the South Africa side reduces as well. If I move the alignment, it's going to do the same. If I change the button, let's say I take it all the way there, like so, it's going to do that on all of them. Brilliant. And you can do more. Let's bring in an excerpt. I'll bring in the text element again. Let me drop it inside. There we go. Select it, and remember, anytime you want to get the dynamic content, you go to these little discs, and then I select excerpt. Brings in the excerpts. Let's add some margin, more separation, and we can change the color. This works exclusively with the metadata. So everything that you've put into the post fields, you can bring in here and you can build out the section. If we go and look at my example again on my blog page, you will see that I've created this kind of news layout with my latest over here that's bigger, my next 2 ones that are smaller, and then I have also categories over here. Part 2 and part 3, we'll look at categories and assets. This is created by really getting clever with the post element. Let's go back to this page. I'll bring in a new column, columns, and then in this one, let's go to the post element, drag and drop. And what I will do is I will select the function. I'll go to columns and I'll set it to 1. By default, it will always display your latest post. And now I can style it out. So if I want to take the Moldova, move that into the top like so, I'm going to take the button and delete it. Let's put Moldova to the left. And I'll go here. No, let's click on the image, give it an overlay. And reduce it like so. And then for Moldova, I'll put it on white. And we increase the padding. And naturally, I want this whole thing to be clickable. So I go to the column, select it, link, and again, I put it on post URL. Now I want to bring in the next guys under here. So I'll bring in another post element, drop it. But I don't want Moldova to appear again. I already have it here on the left. And to do that, we make an offset in the filter. I'll go to the settings of my post, select filter, and then here where offset is, I'll go up 1. This means exclude the first one in the row. And that's going to remove Moldova, and now I have South Africa here. So let's be smart, and I'll bring in columns within that column to show you it's possible. Then I'll grab the image, drag it in there. I'll take that, and I'll drag them in there. And then I'll also go to this one and say columns only 1. And if I'm going too fast, rewind a little bit and watch it again. To make it look really good, you're going to play around with padding and margins. Just give you a look here of how I made this look, right? And that's all done with your padding and your margins. And then we can align this to the left. Align this also to the left. And now, to have another one under this, I will simply go to this one, click on copy, and I will offset this one by 2. But because we don't have a third one, it's going to be empty. So let's save it, update, and quickly create a third one. And I will fast forward this with the magic of editing. I've created this page. Let's save it. Control S, Command S. Let's go to the front end. And this is now our latest post that we've added. Let's go back into our CMS. Blog, categories. Next to blog, click on edit. And now I'm worried, did I save the previous one? And it goes back to dummy text. Let's just, because I didn't save it, new posts. And there you go. So you can see these two have now updated. Laos is first, then Moldova. And if we wanted those 3 columns, let's just increase that to 3. And it will give us the last 3. And below that, because of the offset filters, it's going to always display on this side my latest post. Then here the second one with the offset of 1. And then here the third one with the offset of 2. And filters is something we'll cover in all of these parts as we're working on this. The last thing that you will need to do, and this time I just have to remember to update and save it, is to add this blog menu link to your header here within the menu. Go to the CMS, select menus, and any category that you've created will appear here under categories. Blog is given to you, select it, click on add to menu, and I'll drag it to the second from the top, save changes. If you go to your page, it's not there, so all we need to do is reload the page. Smashing. There it is at the top. Let's preview it on the front end. Nothing to write home about, but we've got it going. You just go and make fine tune it with the padding and the margins. And then as people want to click on it, they simply select that and it will take them to the single post. One more thing that you can do, and that is to bring the post element onto any of these pages. You probably want some of your blog on your home page. Let's go into the builder and we go edit the home page. Under pages, home, select edit. And let's bring it in here, create your own, bring in a heading, latest travel blog. We make this one a heading 2. And let's change to keep things unified with the background. What is color? This one. Okay, so we change the color for this. Lovely. I changed that color earlier. That's why we're in trouble now. And then, as you would with the others, you bring in the posts element and you set it up from here. Style it out. So we have 3. And I'll go ahead and change the color here. And that's how quickly you can do it. Now you know how to make posts. You know how to duplicate them, make your global blocks, work on kind of like a template for your static content, and how you're going to build out your blog archive/posts page, and then how you bring it also onto static pages with the post element. In part 2, we'll look at how you create your custom fields. So currently you only have the title, the slug, the excerpt, and the featured image, but you can bring in much more. And this is a pro locked feature, but this is absolutely great. So if you have more content like reviews and ratings and more images that you know you're going to bring in through dynamic content, then you create them within those fields. Absolutely awesome. See you in part 2.